Good morning, everybody. Um, when it rains, it pours. The problem here I'm having today, I will relate to you. Um, Let me see if I can get Facebook up and running real quick first before I go into this. Um, I am dealing with a issue, um, and will affect the normal end of the program as I go along. Um, so normally I put up my PayPal and Cash App at the bottom. I will be taking down that PayPal. It was hacked yesterday, um, and the persons managed to fleece some funds from my bank account directly through PayPal, to a fairly high tune that I did not even have. So um, it's quite a quandary I'm in now. Um, it is not something that people need to wake up to. And I still don't know why I'm a target. Um, I'm not even a, uh, a wealthy individual, so I don't know why I'm a target. But um, needless to say, they got away with quite a bit. I submitted the information to my bank, but the last time I had this happen, they didn't get any money. Um, and the bank put me through hell to try and get my account figured out. And I have a suspicion that they'll do the same thing again. Um, and PayPal isn't doing very well to help me figure it out. I went in when I first saw something kind of funky and changed my password. That didn't seem to help, um, because I got up this morning and the transaction had gone through. Mind you, I have nothing in my PayPal. There is nothing in there. So apparently it decided to go from the PayPal straight to the bank account and take whatever was in the bank account and took some on top of. So I'll be deleting that PayPal account as soon as I figure it out, if I get it figured out. Um, yeah. So then I decided to go check on my email, which I might have to close down to, my main account, my main email account, which I use for almost all of my podcast. So that will have to be, there might be some a time frame in there when I'm not live because I have to get all that figured out. So it's doing a lot to detract stuff. So, but there have been numerous attempts to log into um, my email from Brazil, China, um, and a couple other places. Um, it's yeah, it hmm. Anyway, I know what they should do. Will they? I don't know, but it has, um, it set my morning off a little bit, upsetting, and it put us behind a massive 8 ball now. Um, so anyway, I just thought I'd let you guys know so I won't be putting that back up there because that's no longer going to be an option for me, um, to use. Um, anyway, it is what it is, I guess. Um, it is a it couldn't be at a worse time. Could not be at a worse time, with the amount that they got away with. Um, I don't understand people. I really don't. I do not understand people. I just don't. Like you could be putting your mind, if you put that much effort into doing dumb stuff like that, Why wouldn't you just put your effort into getting, like, I know, a regular job and do something positive with your life? Instead, you decide to fleece people who don't got nothing. You fleecing, like, that's like the worst of the worst to me. Like, I anyway, it's really angering, and I can tell you that it's not one of those things you want to wake up to at all. Um, the amount is what really pissed me off. Like, it was a fair amount. Like, they went to gusto whatever they ordered. They went ham. They went ham on it, and we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, um, so today, anyway, we'll be talking about Matthew chapter 15. Um, and tomorrow will be chapter 16. Then Friday, I'll be, I do have a mailing address, and if you want to just email me and I'll give it to you there, Michelle. Um, the email address is down here. I had one time had a PO box, and I decided that one was too much to keep going. But if you want to reach out via email is the best way. Just email me. But Friday, I will be going back into the topic we dealt with on Monday, because some new information came to light today, about that situation that confirmed everything that I thought. Everything I thought was confirmed. And confirmed in some of the most crazy, delusional, heretical, disgusting ways, but proven. So we'll look at that on Friday, because it's the same general people that were talked about Monday, the same information. I think we need to address it simply because it is not it is far more than just a personal thing. This is a matter of waking people up to the subtlety of how the devil slips in there real, like he's good at what he does. So Chris, I don't, I'm not going to say yes or no to that. That's not for me to decide. You guys will figure that out. I'm not asking you. I just simply put it to you to tell you what was happening so that you don't send anything more to PayPal. Um, and then, so I know I'm getting rid of it so you don't accidentally send and then have issues on your own. I don't want that to happen. That's why I was telling you it happened. So, um, you among the people, y'all, you can figure that out. I'm not telling you what or what I wouldn't want you to do. That's not my, that wasn't the purpose. Um, like I keep telling people, you ask God about it and what he says you do. I'm not the arbiter here. I'm just, that's just not what I am. I'm not the one that tells you. I presented something, what's going on, and whatever you have in your head to talk to God about, talk to him about it. Talk to him about it, not any other way. That's the only way I could figure it out. So anyway, um, come Friday, I'll be showing you some stuff, and how dangerous the mindset is to have that these people have, um, because there are, unfortunately, and I mean a lot of women, females, that are buying into it, and I mean really buying into it, like 40 going north buying into it. Um, and if I can just help at least a few, just a few people figure it out, okay, I'll be happy. So, and it kind of blends in with Matthew, which is kind of weird, but not kind of weird at the same time. It's it's providential. I get that. So, 15. Defilement comes from within. Then the scribes and Pharisees who were from Jerusalem came to Jesus, saying, "Why do your disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they do not wash their hands when they eat bread." He answered them and said, why do you also transgress the commandment of God because of your tradition? For God commanded, saying, honor your father and your mother, and he who curses his mother or father, let him be put to death. But you say, whoever says to his mother or father, whatever profit you might have received from me is a gift to God, then he need not honor his father or mother. Thus you have made the commandment of God of no effect by your tradition. Hypocrites! Well did Isaiah prophesy about you, saying, these people draw near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. And in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men. You will find this a lot. I mean, a lot. You will find this in um, the churches. Multiple churches, you'll find traditions taking over where doctrine should be. A lot of these people preach a tradition as though it were Bible. It has become normal now. I would say almost everything that you see into current church today is traditional. Nothing to do with actual the Bible. It's just people that started doing something and it took off. That's what you're seeing now. Everything from how people pray, to how they speak when they're preaching, um, to the layout of the building, to um, what the procedures are. A lot of it is man-made. Very little do they follow. Remember, we talked about this whole idea of church, right? And initially, the saints gathered together. The way that the Bible describes it is the people would gather, sometimes in houses, and then sometimes they would meet in someone else's place or in a larger event. But never did you ever see in the Bible where they built churches for people to go to at all. There were temples. There were sanctuaries built by the Pharisees. But the Christian did not ever go there. Before Christ, the temples existed to replicate the presence of God being separate from people. The temple itself was built in a way to honor God as separate, higher than procedures to get to, in order to show people what the new movement was going to be when Christ died, that he was going to be the entryway to the temple of God, and your covering would be him. Every aspect of the Old Testament that had to do with temples and buildings, all of it was an archetype for what Christ was going to represent as us. The church has now become his temple. Entry into it is the same exact way. They make he wrote everything down. All the procedures were made to prove something out when the new testament came around, when that new covenant came. So what we have today is a bunch of people trying to keep hold of a tradition and call it Christianity. And it has now, unfortunately, replaced a lot, and I mean a lot, of sound doctrine, because we don't want the Bible anymore. We want something that's more fun. We want something that's a little more appealing. We want to make it easy. We want to make it comfortable. We got to have a nice fancy couch. We got to have a nice fancy chair. We have to have a really inviting auditorium. We have to have all these amenities. We got to have coffee, got to have a concession stand, got to have clothing. We got to have everything set up for people to feel at home, to feel welcomed. And of course, the music has to be appealing, because worship has to be something that you invite people into so they feel as though they're part of it. A lot of this stuff is taking man, like it says right here, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men. It has become normal. This is now how they operate. This has nothing to do with God much anymore. When he had called the multitude to himself, he said to them, hear and understand, not what goes into the mouth defiles a man, but what comes out of the mouth, this defiles a man. For all the people that like to talk about you can't eat that and you can't eat that and you can't eat that, that's against the law, and can't eat and can't eat and can't eat. Jesus himself is telling you the defiling is not what goes in. The defiling is what comes out. Take it up with him again, not with me. Then his disciples came and said to him, do you know that the Pharisees were offended when they heard this saying? But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father has not planted will be uprooted. Let them alone. They are blind leaders of the blind, and if the blind leads the blind, both will fall into a ditch. That sounds pretty rude. Doesn't that sound rude? Doesn't that sound rude? How would Jesus talk to people like that? So rude. He calling them blind because they are. You see, here's the thing about Jesus, right? I know plenty of people like to talk about him as though he was this very soft spoken and doesn't talk out about people and he doesn't actually lose his cool or not. That is not the case. Y'all blind. And both y'all so blind you can't even lead each other and you eventually gonna fall into a hole. Call it rude, but he ain't lying. Then Peter answered and said to him, of course, Peter, explain this parable to us. So then Jesus said, are you still without understanding? Now, look. I'm sorry, but if I were to paraphrase, I ain't trying to be like heretical or nothing, but how else do you read that first line? Are you still without understanding? In other words, how are you not getting this, Peter? Like, okay, look, Peter. I don't know how else to tell you this. What are you not getting? Like, where's the disconnect, Peter? How ain't you getting this? Like, what is up with you? How are you not getting this? How is this difficult, Peter? I keep telling people that for all people like to say it and take God seriously. It's very serious. But don't ever get it twisted that God don't have a sense of humor. That man has a mad sense of humor, like hilarious sense of. Y'all ever met a toddler? Have you ever met a toddler? Okay, have you met a baby goat? Have you met a baby animal of any kind? Have you met them? Have you seen some of these things he's created? Have you seen them? I have a cat, okay, and a dog. My cat is the most mature person in the house. She is. She's the most mature out of, and I mean animal and human. She's the most mature of all of us. And even her being mature will still find a box and jump all over the box and play with the box like it's just a box, and she just goes mental over it. And then I have a dog who seems like he should be the most vicious thing, and he is the most retarded dog out there. Funny, love him, but man, the dude's slow. Couldn't protect nothing. Couldn't protect it. You trying to tell me that God don't have a sense of humor? Oh no, he has a sense of humor. He is hilarious. Very hilarious, like super hilarious. If you don't know that by now and you don't got kids, wait till you get them. Just wait. That's all I'm saying. Are you still without understanding? Do you not yet understand that whatever enters the mouth and goes into the stomach and is eliminated? Now, again, he's doubling down on the don't you understand. It goes in and it's thrown out. Okay. But those things which proceed out of the mouth come from the heart, and they defile a man. For out of the heart proceeds evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies, and these are the things that defile a man. But to eat with unwashed hands does not defile a man. What you eat eventually will get eliminated one way or another, thrown up, excreted out, or number one, it goes away. The defilement is not one that's innate. Now, what comes out of you, therein lies the problem. Then Jesus went out from there and departed from the region of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came from that region and cried out to him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, son of David. My daughter is severely demon possessed. But he answered not a word. And his disciples came and urged him, saying, Send her away, for she cries out after us. But he answered and said, I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Then she came and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. Then he answered and said, It is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs. And she said, Yes, Lord, yet even the little dogs eat the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then Jesus answered and said to her, O woman, your great is your faith. Let it be to you as you desire. And her daughter was healed from that hour. Now I've heard people discuss this more. The people I've heard discuss this are usually homosexuals who call themselves Christians, or people who are deconstructing. Um, so I'm going to give you an example of what this really means. My child comes to me, or better yet, let me make it a true example. I'm out with my children, and somebody comes up to me, a little kid comes up to me and says, Sir, I see you're out with your kids. Um, can I please have $5 to get myself something to eat? And I don't listen to the kid. Well, it's not my kid. I'm not listening. I wasn't there to take care of the kid. I was there to take care of my kids and take them to where they want to go. The kid comes back again. Please, sir, I see that you are a provider of your children. I would just like $5, please. I just want something to eat. And I look at the kid. Listen, my money is not for people I don't know. My money is for my children. I was given this money to take care of my kids, not somebody else's kids. And the child says, I understand that, sir. I really do. Um, but I could really use this money, even a little bit. If it may not even be $5, if it's $3, something I can get to eat at all. And then my kids tell me, Dad, this person is bugging us. Why are they keep bugging us for food? They look hungry, but come on, man, just send them away, Dad. They're messing with our day. And as I continue talking to my kids, this person says again, please, I just want something to eat. And I said, you know what? Because of your persistence and you considering the way I take care of my kids to be a good thing, that you think maybe I should be able and will be able to help you, I will help you. I'll give you $5, get you something to eat. Here you go. Now, on the surface, you have to understand this. The children of Israel were considered God's chosen. The chore that Jesus came to do was to reconcile that bridge. Secondarily, was to reconcile all mankind to the Father. But the primary reason was for the children of Israel. Now, when you look at it from that perspective, anyone who wasn't a chosen from way back before in the Old Testament were indeed treated exactly like this. They were not given preferential treatment. In fact, the majority of people that were not of the house of Israel were warred against, plundered, destroyed, because the majority of them hated God. But she approached Christ in a manner of worship, reverence, understanding who he was. Anytime you saw a enemy prostrate themselves and took homage to God, they were spared. Were they not in the Old Testament? It's rife with that. It is no different in this situation. The woman came, honored him, and if you look at the very beginning when she came, have mercy on me, O Lord, son of David. She knew who he was. I want people to understand she knew who he was. Not only knew who he was, believed it. Believed it. To the point where she was so persistent in getting the help that she wanted, even being called a dog in not so many terms because they were not of the house of Israel with that analogy. She still persisted in having him address her. And he did. It is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs. She said, yes. Yet even the little dogs eat the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Every time she spoke, she addressed him as a very specific leader, Master, Lord. This was more than just her asking some random person to help her child. She was speaking to the Lord, and she knew she was speaking to the Lord. She was in a completely different space than most of the Samaritans. And because of that, her daughter was healed. Jesus departed from there, skirted the Sea of Galilee, and went up to the mountain and sat there. Then great multitudes came to him, having with them the lame, the blind, mute, maimed, and others. And they laid them down at Jesus' feet, and he healed them. So the multitude marveled when they saw the mute speaking, the maimed made whole, the lame walking, and the blind seeing, and they glorified the God of Israel. Now, when Jesus called his disciples to himself and said, I have compassion on the multitude because they now continue with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. And I do not want to send them away hungry, lest they faint on the way. And his disciples said to him, where could we get enough bread in the wilderness to fill such a great multitude? Jesus said to them, how many loaves do you have? They said, 7, and a few little fish. Same story again. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the ground, and he took the 7 loaves and fish, and he gave thanks, broke them, and gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave to the multitude, so that they ate and were filled, and they took up 7 large basketfuls of fragments that were left. Now those who ate were 4,000 men, besides the women and children, and they sent the multitude into the boat and came to the region of Magdala. Now someone will say, see, there is a discrepancy. One says 5 and one says 4. One says 5,000, the other says 4,000. That's a discrepancy in the Bible. You can't trust it. Let me ask you a question in turn. Does the difference of 5,000 to 4,000 make a difference when it comes to 7 loaves and 2 few fish? If I have 7 loaves and a few fish, and I feed 6 people, understandable. If I say I fed 5 people, understandable. If I say I'd fed 100 people, that'd be like, what? 100 people? Wow. And then someone said, no, it was closer to 200. So which one was it? 100 or 200? You're missing the point. It was 7 loaves and 2 fish. There is no way you can feed 100 people, much less 2. There's no way you could feed 2, not even 100 with that many. But he fed 4,000. And in another instance, possibly 5,000 with 7 loaves of bread and a couple fish. The miraculous work that he did with those pieces of food is inconsequential, right? No, it's not inconsequential. It is the crux of the matter. Whether it's 4 or 5,000, there is no way he should have been able to use what he had to feed anything past 10. That is the part we are missing. That is a massive part of what was happening here. This person that they call Jesus managed to feed some people that in no other way, shape, form, or fashion could have been fed with what was on hand that day. And I have heard many stories say, oh, but that's God. He's God the impossible. He might take your little bit and multiply. That's not. I try my best not to interject us into situations that obviously don't mean what they people try to make it mean. Can God make much out of a little? Yes. Does that mean now he's going to take my little bit of money and quadruple it to 5,000? No, that's not what that means. But when God wants to prove a point, he will find a way to prove a point. And this was one of his ways of proving a point. To not just the people there, but to the disciples as well. All we have is what they've been saying. All we have is this. How are we ever going to feed this many? Jesus didn't care about how much he had. He just said, all right, let's pray over it. Good. Now pass it out. Just pass it out. But no, go ahead and pass it out. And then you pick up 7 basketfuls after of pieces. 7 baskets full. Let's just say your average basket that they probably had was about the size of my hat, but a little bit bigger, which I doubt it was that small to hold 7 loaves. Let's just say it was 7 loaves. Where did they get the baskets from? Nobody knows either. So you have 7 baskets full of stuff that you only had in one basket to begin with. When he wants to prove a point, he'll prove a point. When he's trying to get something done, he'll get it done. It may not always be by multiplication. It could just be by something miraculous. There are multitudes of things that happen in this whole passage. Healing, a rebuking, and a multiplication. The central figure is always him. None of the stuff happens without him. The disciples could have done stuff, but only with 7 and a few. He could take a 7 and a few and do crazy things. He took 12 and impacted billions, trillions. He took 12. 12. 12 of the most inconspicuous people, insignificant people, fishermen, not men sitting down reading scrolls and learning everything from day. That was not them, not scribes. He didn't take those. He took people, regular people, and changed everything. This is what he does. And it's not that he's doing it and having them get the glory. He's doing it and he's getting the glory. At least that's how it should be. Because it can't happen without him. It's not possible. I know we love to take credit for a lot of stuff. We love that credit. We cannot help but take credit for stuff. We love that stuff. And that too is a part of human tradition. Look at these pastors today, okay? Pastors today are so inundated with themselves that they have their own church. They found their own church. It's not God's, it's theirs. God's a useful person in it, talk about him and, mention him and say he's great. Like he said earlier on, how did he say it? I want to make sure I state it right. Where is it? Where is it? I want to make sure I find and state it completely right. Because I know I read it. I just want to make sure there it is. Okay, good. Don't forget he said this. These people draw near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me, and in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrine the commandments of men. And you'll find this everywhere in today's church. And it leads into our conversation on Friday, but I'll mention it now. It has gone to the point where everything is okay. Remember, T.D. Jakes said that, right? If you have a belief, go find a body that believes like you and worship there. What do you mean believes like me? I thought I'm supposed to join the church and change my beliefs based on what God said. I thought that I'm supposed to dump my belief about something and take up his truth about something and walk with that. Where did we ever get the idea that we come up with our own truth and our own right and our own this, and then we kind of superimpose that on God? And if God doesn't match up, then we keep our design and go try and match it up to some. How did that ever become something that God ordained? Oh, I don't like this church because this church doesn't do this, this, and this. Oh, I like that church because that church has this, and this. That one does a whole lot of cool activities. That one has a really good children's program. That one right there has a really good worship team. That one right there, I really like to hear how that preacher preaches. That one. Okay, so ask them, what's their belief about God? Like, what do they say about God? Well, they talk about God all the time because God is good. But man, them worship team people, whoo wee, man. And the lighting puts you in that mood. I can really feel stuff. And they have a great brand of coffee that they serve. And their activities for children are off the charts. It's really good stuff. And okay, good. So what about the word though? What do they stick to it? I mean, yeah. I mean, they try to stay away from, heavy topics. What does that mean? Oh, all the things going on in the world, they tend to stay away from that and just talk positive. We need to stay positive. Hmm. So you mean they're not prepping you for when the world decides to put you on blast for being a believer? Well, you see, we're trying to change the way the world operates. Oh, is that what you're called to do? I don't remember that being in the Bible. I remember him saying us we need to be separate, a holy priesthood, set apart, called out. I remember that being in there. I also remember us being prepped for persecution that will be coming, not prepped for coffee time and good worship in how people sing. I don't recall that being a part of what he's asked. And I also don't recall him having us prep financially for everything that we could ever want. I don't recall that being in there either. Oh yeah, yes. That is nothing compared to what most do. There was I don't know if they still do it or not, but Maverick City used to do that when they had their Sunday services and stuff. Not just coffee, but I'm talking about like at one point they were serving liquid death at their concerts too. The drink, the energy drink, liquid death, and Monster as well. It is natural now. It is normal now. I remember those days, Tin, of potlucks after church. And I will say this: I used to consider that more church than what we had before church. You get what I mean? Like the potluck time, I felt way more engaged as a Christian than I did when they were just having this liturgical service of you stand there and you sing, then you close your eyes in prayer, and then somebody gets up and says some things, and then you come back and you pray again, and you have this dirge, and you go through, and you come back, and then you end with a prayer and a 3-point sermon, and you get done. I considered the potluck more of worth. I consider them of more worth. You know why? Because you got to see the brothers and sisters in the real. They didn't have the churchification of their personality. Because you all know what I mean by churchification of your personality. Everybody is holier than thou during the sermon, and everyone is making sure you stay as completely and calm as you can throughout the whole of the service. And then after service, everybody is laughing and giggling and happy and hugging and shaking hands and making jokes and stuff like that. All of that becomes normal. But when you're worshiping and you're participating with the one who gave you that camaraderie, that's not there. I understand that when you're in the word, I get that. But it felt almost like jail because it wasn't real. It was never real. It was a function. And it didn't even follow a form. It was just a function. It's just what you did. It can't be just what you do. It can't be. 15 gave us a very good insight into how how the body should be functioning around each other. Very good insight. And it also tells you a lot about how we see today that much hasn't changed. It has become more accepted, but it hasn't changed much. That people will continually put their preferences above his word, and they will continually put what they want to see done over what he has asked you to do. It's notorious now. It almost reminds you of the temple scene, right? Money changers. It reminds you a lot of that. In either case, we have to start doing better. If he is not the focus of it and it's not about him, then why are you doing it? I mean, I get that people say it's about him because they want to reach a certain kind of people, but do you need to use the things of the world to reach the people of the world? Are you really bringing them to Christ, or are you bringing them to something they already like? And if you were to take that away, they just decide to leave because it's no longer part of the church. Say they were coming to you because you had a great band and they just love the music choices that you make because they sing all the songs they know. Or at least they feel like they know the song because the beat's about the same. And then you just decide one day, man, this has become too performative. We're going to go back to making this about a direct worship time, just us and God. And the people who were there to be entertained be like, what happened to y'all? Y'all changed. I can't be doing this. Y'all, I was coming here to, enjoy this, and I'm just no longer enjoyable. I'm out. But you see, if you had fed them with something that they can take with them away, and that particular something is an entity that goes with them everywhere, you won't have to worry about changing anything because there's nothing to change. There's nothing to change. I don't know how this is all going to go. I really don't. But when we see this kind of stuff happening more and more, I think we'll end up finding some very dangerous things in the so-called church, and we'll start seeing, yep, we were wrong. We were so wrong. But like I said, the implications are that many are listening for what they want to hear and trying to match up what they want with an organization that espouses what they want. So if I want to have someone tell me I'm going to be blessed with money, I go to a location that says I will be blessed with money. If I'm looking for somebody that says to me I'll be blessed with a good family, I'll listen to them. You're no longer filtering anything through the actual word. You're filtering it through your feelings and your wants. And I'm pretty sure he told you to park that. Pretty sure he told you to park that. In any case, when we tackle 16 tomorrow, 16 will show exactly what he talked about in 15 in real time, where they start seeking signs in order to figure stuff out and to try and bring everything of law back in to judge people by. And it will lead us directly into the conversation on Friday. Um, Now, I just want to make you aware on Friday, I will be going into some historical things about um, voodoo and the witchcraft and all that stuff that has, I think people need to be aware of, um, and to have you understand the dangers of not taking it seriously. Okay? Dangers of not taking it seriously. Because it is a very serious issue. But just like the devil tricked Eve into thinking it's not that big a deal, did God really say that? This is his new, did God really say? This is his new one. This is the devil's new version of did God really say? Did he really say you only have to have one? Come on, come on. He didn't say all that. So we'll be touching on a lot Friday. So it may be a pretty, I don't know, a little bit long, but I'll be starting. I think I might be starting a little late. I do have a piano to move, so I'm waiting to hear from him about what time it will be. Um, and if it is, I might just start late on Friday. But if it works out that I'll be too long about it on Friday, look out for it being tomorrow, because I could just do it tomorrow if I'm not going to be around on Friday. So just a heads up, there is a piano that has to be moved. Um, Handle Lisa after the show. What did Lisa say? What did Lisa say that you would have to handle after the show? Now I got to go back and look. What you talking about? What did I miss? Oh, for being late. Is that what you're talking about, for being late? If that's the case, just let me know if that's what you mean. I will look for it, Legacy. I will look for it. So if the piano move is too long, like over an hour, he says it's a local one. Um, so if it's too long, then we'll do it tomorrow. Um, if it's not too long, then we'll do it Friday. Okay, but just keep an eye out on the channel. I'll post it tonight either way. So if tomorrow is going to be chapter 16, I'll post it. If it's going to be the one we're doing on Friday instead, I'll do it tomorrow. Then I'll post that so you'll know. Okay, perfect. Um, so now the edited issue here, so you can have. This is the only one I have now, since I'll be deleting that Cash App once I get around to it. Well, I mean, I'll be deleting the PayPal when I get around to it. The Cash App's the one I got that's online ready. Um, if anything else and you want to send an email to find out a different way, there's the email there that you can use. And I can give you a breakdown of what exactly, but I'm just not going to put it out into the ether just like that. Um, I will give whoever wants to know more details, but you have to email for that. Um, but you can email me, and I'm going to hopefully see what the bank has to say about it here in the next couple hours, I hope. And see what we can do, because it's quite angering indeed, very angering. So what I might do is leave here and go straight to the bank and deal with it like that. So we'll see. In any case, um, nothing else you can do. At least pray that it gets resolved soon, because we're not in a position where we can deal with this right now. It's just too much, too much, too much. In any case, love you guys. Do mean it. Have a grand rest of the day. I'll see you guys on Savage Patriots today at 6:30 Eastern. And we'll be discussing possibly this new thing that came out that says Mr. Shapiro in Pennsylvania might have been behind the assassination attempt on Mr. Trump in Pennsylvania. And I'm talking about the governor of Pennsylvania might have been the one behind the assassination attempt. Like he was the one that orchestrated it. We're still waiting to hear more details on it, but it seems like it's credible so far. So far. And if that's the case, that is a massive deal. Like a massive deal. So yeah. Okay. So I'll be setting up that show here in a few once I find out the last bit of details. Either way, we might just do it and speculate based on what we heard. All right. So love you guys. Mean it. We'll see you guys later today. Wisdom calls to you from the streets. So please, 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 please find wisdom. Peace. Hold tight the dreams for if dreams